So hi everyone, thanks for joining today. We're going to be covering accessibility features. So what I'm going to do is cover accessibility features you get within Windows 10 and Office 365. I'll show you how you can find them, how to start using them, and go over some top tips on working more accessible as well. So accessibility is really important as there's over 1 billion people that have disabilities and we may not be aware of them necessarily. So many of those actually need assistive technology. And it's become a real part of our product design phase to making sure that every kind of new feature release is as accessible as it can be. And I think it's also really important to consider that a disability can affect us at any time. It doesn't have to be necessarily something we're born with. We quite often might have a situational disability. So last year I did my knee in and I found I had to move all my meetings to online for a period while I was on crutches and whatnot. So quite often we need to use the technology and use the assistive features for just a short period of our lives too. So accessible technology is for everyone. So permanent disabilities, as in the 6 areas we can see below, so visual, hearing, cognitive, speech, mobility, and neural. As I just mentioned, you might have some temporary impairments. That'd be something like your dodgy knee or a broken arm or cataracts waiting for them to be removed. And, you know, everyone might have situational requirements. So working from home with children, small babies, you might have to work hands-free, use dictation more, or driving as well, using more dictation or playback tools. And especially these 6 areas of permanent disabilities, we try and focus product development in these areas. So what are the key features you guys need to look out for? So within Windows 10, there's ease of access. So I'll show you how you can find your ease of access settings. And within these settings, we group them into 3 areas: vision, hearing, and interaction. So I'll deep dive you into some of these settings that you can apply to your laptop to start using today. We've also got immersive reader, so this goes across OneNote and Teams, and it's great to have passages read aloud. You can highlight certain words and nouns, change font size and background color. There's also a translation tool in there as well. We then got the Office 365 accessibility checker, so you can find this across the Office suite, so your Word, Excels and PowerPoints. And there's also the accessibility checker in your Outlook as well. So every time you're sending an email, you can make sure that your documents are going to be accessible for anyone to read them and who you're sending them on to. We then got dictation. So this goes across the Office 365 suite, and there's also a dictation tool you can turn on via Windows 10 ease of access settings and a keyboard shortcut. And finally, we've got subtitles, as you can hopefully see at the bottom of my screen now. So this is automated subtitles, a feature within PowerPoint, but be aware you do need internet access in order to produce the subtitles. So I'm going to go into demo now onto Office 365. So I'm actually going to show you my computer screen, an instance, and this is where you can access. I'm just going to change this what I'm sharing. Bear with me 1 second. Perfect. So this is where you can update some settings that are applied across your laptop. So a lot of the Office 365 accessibility settings will just be for that app, but this is where you can apply stuff to go across your device. So first of all, you just need to come to the Start button. That's on this bottom left-hand corner, or you can use this search bar to type ease of access, and this will take you to the settings space. So if you click on the Start button, do just look for the settings cog icon, and the one that you're after is this ease of access logo. It looks like a clock with some arrows on it. So here we can see all our different display settings, hearing settings, and interaction settings. And these are just a few of them I'll go through. So a couple of these, when you set them up, they will turn your screen blue for a couple of minutes just while it applies everything. So I'll show you all the ones today that I can show you how they work, but without it restarting my device slightly. So first of all, on display, this is how you can make text bigger on your screen. So anything where we can see, say, type search there, or Microsoft Edge, this will increase the size of the text. and you can scroll up and down to find a happy medium that suits you. Another option you've got on here is to make everything brighter. So anyone who might have visual impairments may want their screen to stand out via a brighter display, or vice versa. If you have migraines, you might want to turn the brightness right down so you've not got that blue light strong glare happening. And in the middle here, we've just got the ability to make everything bigger. So where we can see these @ signs here, you can increase their size on the page. Now, the next option in vision options is cursor and pointer, and I must admit this is something that I use. So first of all, you can come here to adjust your pointer size. So I normally have mine around this size for when I'm doing demos to make it really obvious where I'm clicking. And as standard, your pointer color will normally be in white, so it looks something like this. So you might want to change the color of your pointer to really stand out. So you've got an option to have a dark pointer. This will do a contrast, so whenever you're on a dark background, it will turn white. So you can see here, I can now see words underneath my cursor. And then the final option is to choose a color. There's lots of different colors around here, or you can even pick a customized color as well. So really useful. I use this for a lot of remote working and demos, to really make sure people can see where I'm pointing to on the screen. The next option you might want to update in here as well is your cursor size. So this is the size of your cursor when you're typing. So if I put it to the extreme up here and just open a Word document, we should see that the cursor space is a lot larger to track on the screen rather than that just one flashing line. We've got a flashing black square there. So just a good one to keep an eye on if you find that one line quite difficult to find on the screen. Next option you've got on here is magnifiers. This is one that will just turn your screen blue a little bit, but this basically works as having a magnifying glass on the end of your cursor. You can zoom into different parts of the screen. You can use a shortcut to turn it on and to increase zoom. And I would recommend just scrolling down here because you can make sure you can choose when you want that magnifying option to kick in. Do you want it when you turn your laptop on? Do you want it to kick in after sign in? And there's some options on what it follows as well here too. Now this next option on colour filters is really handy. I showed this to my dad who has red-green colour blindness, and it's really helped the way he can decipher Excel spreadsheets. So first of all, you can turn your colour filters on, and you've got a first few options here. So you've got inverted, which will invert the colours on your screen. You've got grayscale, which will turn everything grey. You've got grayscale inverted, which will be everything dark, and everything lighter will go grey. And you've then got your colour blindness filters. So if you scroll down, you'll get this little colour wheel, so it'll show you the effect of the colour filters on there. So this is for people with green weakness. Update the colours to show here. This next one's for red-green weakness. So this is the one that my dad suffers with, and you can see it can make quite a big difference to your colours. So especially if people are sending through spreadsheets with lots of colour references in there, it can make it really much easier to differentiate. And finally, you've got the blue-yellow colour blindness here as well. So a really useful one. People often miss that there are settings for colour blindness within Windows 10 that you can start to apply. Next option is high contrast. So when you turn this on again, it'll turn your screen blue for a couple of minutes, but then you'll have everything with a dark background, and anything on top will be on bright neon colours. And then the final option you get within the vision capabilities is Narrator. So Narrator is an inbuilt screen reader into Windows 10. So perhaps if you don't have access to a third-party tool like Dragon and Jaws as a screen reader, you can use Narrator as a screen reader. So I would really recommend clicking on this View Complete Guide to Narrator, as it gives you some really good online guidance into how to use Narrator and how to set it up. And there's a few chapters just to read through on best practice. And when you're ready to kick off, you can come and choose voice preferences, speed preferences, and pitch preferences as well. And you can also choose what you want your narrator to read out. So do you want them to include punctuation in their speech, or just to read the text through completely? So lots of different options you can choose. When you're ready, you can come and switch narrator on. And this will start to read your screen immediately as soon as you click this. So you'll get this passage appear and it will read through it automatically. So a great option to look at Narrator if you don't have a screen reader third-party tool to hand. And as I mentioned, do read the Narrator guide before you get started on it. So the last couple of options we've got on here is around hearing. So audio, this is where you can change the device on your volume. One thing I will recommend is coming down here and checking out these audio visual alerts. So this is where if you have an audio impairment, and you'll find a lot of the notifications in Microsoft come through via a ping or a little noise, and you've got a new email or a new Teams message. This allows you to have a visual representation instead of that audio representation. So you can choose the title bar, the window to flash, you can choose your whole screen to flash, so you can be aware that you've got a new notification appeared. And the next option is if you use closed captions, you can tailor your colours. So if you do have colour blindness, you might want to choose a different default colour than red or green, for example. So you can come and customise what colours you want your subtitles in. So the last options are all around interaction. So first of all, you've got a speech option. So if you press the Windows key, so this one that looks like a little window, and the H on your keyboard, you'll get a little bar that appears at the top here. And this means wherever you click in, you can dictate into that space. So it doesn't have to be a Word document. It could be a web page, text entry field, for example. But if I just come into this Word document to show you guys, I could click on the microphone here and talk into my device. So we should be able to see what I'm saying coming through now, and it will note down exactly what you're saying. And when you're finished, you can just click the mic again, and it will have your passage up there. So this dictation pad can follow you around whilst you're working, and you just need to click the cross sign to remove it from the top of your page. The final option that you might find useful is keyboard. So this allows you to not use a physical keyboard. It allows you to turn on an on-screen keyboard. So you can either slide it to turn on here, or you can use Windows Control 0 on your keyboard to switch it on. And I find this really useful if you just have any kind of laptop errors as well. So your keyboard isn't linking up to your screen device. It will enable you to not use a physical keyboard, but you can use your mouse to control what you're typing on screen. It's just a good one to know for any technical issues as well as accessibility needs. Mouse is where you control the keypad with your mouse with your keypad instead of your mouse. So to control the mouse using the arrows. We do have an eye control option. So this is where you can use eye tracking technology to control the mouse. So if you have any mobility impairments where you can't perhaps move your hands how you would do normally to type or to use the mouse, and you do need a supported eye tracking device to use this, but it is possible to link in and to connect with Office 365. Now, there are a few things just to show you before we leave the Windows 10 settings. If you come to your little bubble here in the bottom right-hand corner, there is an option called Focus Assist. So Focus Assist is a tool that allows you to manage your notifications on Windows 10. So you can either go to that little bubble, or you can just search Focus Assist in your toolbar. So I normally have all my notifications off, or I set a priority for a few apps, but it just allows you to customize what kind of notifications you're getting through on your screen, so you're not being bombarded by all the Office 365 apps and then extra app options on your device. So just a good place to come check out for your own personal well-being, to make sure you're not getting tons of notifications coming through. And also, if you are planning to use dictation, what I could recommend is you'll have speech recognition, and you can train your microphone up to getting used to your accent. So if you come to microphone setup on here, there's an option here that says set up your mic for speech recognition. So if you are going to be using dictation a lot, I just recommend coming here, clicking get started, and it'll just take you through a few little things, get you to pronounce a few things, so it gets used to your voice. So there are all the Windows 10 accessibility features. Just a reminder, do just come to the start bar, look for the cog on settings and select ease of access, or any of the things we've covered. So if you can't remember where the colour blindness filters are, if you just come and search in this Windows 10 search bar, it will find you the right area to come and update these things. So we're going to jump into some Windows, some Office 365 accessibility features now. So just to show you some of the things that go across the suite. So within Teams, you'll have Immersive Reader, and you've got live captionings that you can turn on as well. So we'll have a look at switching those on. Within Accessibility Checker, within PowerPoint, you'll have Accessibility Checker, dictation and subtitles. And you'll notice Accessibility Checker and dictation goes across the Office suite too. And we've also got Immersive Reader appearing in OneNote as well. So first of all, I'll kick off just by showing you some of the settings in PowerPoint. So first of all, whenever you're in the Office suite, if you come to Review, this is where you can find the Accessibility Checker. What Accessibility Checker does is it looks across your PowerPoint presentation, your Word document, and finds areas that you can make more accessible. So for example here, it might be where I've not named my sections correctly, I've not made sure my slides have titles, and this makes it a lot easier for people who use screen readers to understand what's in the presentation. I might have a hard to read text contrast between the background, or I might put an image and not put an explanation of that image. So it's a great area to check before you send out a PowerPoint presentation or a Word deck to anyone of how you can make your presentation more accessible. Also, when you're in the home bar of any of your Office suite, you'll notice there's a dictation microphone here. So you don't have to use the Windows key H to turn it on. You can come into a Word document, come to the home bar, and select the microphone to use dictation. And it works exactly the same way. It'll note down exactly what you're saying while you've got it on. Also, if we come back to review, just a reminder, you've got spelling and thesaurus and also translation settings here as well. And just to show you, if I dive into a Word document, we can see in the home bar, we've still got dictate here on the top home bar. We come into review, you do get one other option, which is read aloud. So read aloud will allow you to have your passage read back to you. You can just come to this tool bar at the top here to choose to click play, to fast forward, or to update your reading speed or accents. And it's just a really good way to double check your work over, especially if English might not be your first language. Sometimes it can help to have passages read back to you. One last thing to show you in PowerPoint. So if you come to slideshow, and on the far right hand side, you have an area for captions and subtitles. So this is where you can use the subtitles that run along the bottom of your screen. So first of all, if you come to subtitle settings, you can choose the language you're speaking, and you can then choose what subtitles you want that language to go into. So for example, if I update from English to Welsh, I can then choose what microphone I'm using. So maybe if I'm doing a very official presentation, I might have a proper mic system I want to link up to it. And I can then choose where I want my subtitles to sit. So I'm going to put it above as a bit of a change. As soon as you click to run your PowerPoint, you'll notice it will kick off my slide deck. And what we should see at the top is my subtitles appearing. So as I mentioned at the start, subtitles are dependent on an internet connection, and I'll run through some top tips on making the most of your subtitle settings too. But a really helpful way if you're addressing an audience to everyone where English isn't their first language, or just being more accessible if it is a large room, ensuring people can see and hear and understand the presentation from the back of the room. Cool. So that's everything to show you across the Office suite. We're just going to take a look at Teams now. So if I just launch a team site, and I just want to show you guys how you can access Immersive Reader. So if you come to the top of it, I'm in Teams and I'm just in a team and a channel. And if I just come to the top right-hand corner of a post, you'll notice 3 dots. So if I click on these 3 dots and select Immersive Reader, this brings me up a great panel where I can customize my reading preferences. So you can utilize these settings at the top here to customize your text size, increase the spacing between the words, and you can even change the font as well. So a lot of people with dyslexia actually find Comic Sans a much easier font to read. And you can choose the theme colours that go behind the words as well. And these are all nationally recognised for dyslexia and dyspraxia colours. If we then go to grammar, this is where you can break down your words into syllables. You can highlight certain parts of speech and turn labels on and off as well. The final option is all around line focus, so you can create a focus down on the specific words. So if it's a really long passage, making it easier to concentrate on. You've also got picture dictionary, so this is quite often used with, say, children who might not know what a word means. You can click on a word and it would give you a picture representation of what that word means. So a really good way, again, for people who don't speak English as a first language or maybe young, to show a visual representation of what that word means. And the final options you have on here is translations. So I can take my passage and choose a language. So we'll pop it into French. I can choose if I want to do it via words. So I can just click on a word and see the French translation, or by the whole document. And if I do it by the whole document as well and come and click play down here, this will read the whole passage out within that language. So we should be able to hear that language in French. Just a note, if you haven't done a translation or if you're in your original page, this will also read the passage out in English. So if you just had a really long day, you might have a migraine and you just want to sit and have your passage read back to you, you can have that read in English too. Now, whenever you set up these immersive reader settings, it will follow you across the Office suite. So, for example, if I come into my OneNote now and select immersive reader, I should have all the kind of same options applied in here. So see, I've got my green background, my purple highlighted words. So once you've taken the time to set it up once, it is ready to go for you. And just a reminder, to find it in OneNote, you just need to come to View and you have Immersive Reader there. So just the final settings to show you in Teams is if you come to the top right hand side here where it says your little profile icon, you do have the option to come to settings, and we do have some theme settings, so you can choose to have a dark Teams background rather than a light Teams background, or a high contrast background, which can just make it a lot easier to read Teams, or not as severe on your eyes having that white glare coming back. And also a reminder, there are a number of keyboard shortcuts for Teams as well. So if you prefer to navigate around via your keyboard, do come and check out these keyboard shortcuts that they are to hand. And there is a really good link here to our Office 365 Accessibility Centre as well. So just a couple of last tips to share with you on working more accessibly. So first of all, just around live captions and subtitling. So we mentioned you need an internet connection. We do actually have a site here, aka.ms/PowerPoint live captions, which can help you in setting up live captions, make sure you've got the right headset and how to work things from your microphone. We also will show you if you've got lots of background noise, or if you do have any difficulty with internet connection. So you'll notice a little red sign come up, or a yellow sign saying background noise. Finally, just making your PowerPoints more accessible too. just some top tips is making sure there's some really high contrast colors. So in this presentation, always try to have a white text on a dark background or a black text on a white background. And do recognize that people might have color blindness. So instead of using different color bullet points, you might want to use different shapes instead. Also try and use slide layouts just to make everything is spread apart rather than starting from blank and adding in lots of block text color. And again, we do have links in here we can send on that give you some recommendations around the Office Accessibility Centre, which has tons of stuff on working accessibility in PowerPoint. So my top thing I can recommend to take away is hyperlinks. Try and give them a meaningful name. So screen readers will read this exactly as they see it. So it'll be like https://onedrive.live.com/question. So that's not very great if you're using a screen reader and you've got tons of these links reading out for minutes, the whole passage. Do try and do a hyperlink to say this is presentations accessibility and link from there. Or you can potentially try using QR codes to link to key bits of information, especially if you're in a face-to-face presentation. So if you go to Bing or Google and search for QR code generator, you can easily produce QR codes to link into presentations. So just a couple of resources to know to hand. So first of all, we have the accessibility sway. So this is a full sway document. We keep constantly updated on all the accessibility features, how they work per disability area, and it's a great link that has absolutely everything in you need to know about accessibility in Office 365 and Windows 10. Next is edad@microsoft.com. So if you have any questions around accessibility, say interoperability between JAWS and Dragon and Office 365, feedback on a product and how you'd like it to be more accessible. This is an answer desk that's purely manned by people waiting for accessibility questions. And the people who man these desks are the people within our org who use the accessibility technology themselves all the time. So any questions you have on accessibility, do feel free to send them through to edad@microsoft.com. Then finally, just got a few, we always have some webinars that we run. They tend to come monthly, so similar to today's on tips and tricks to using the accessibility technology you have within Office 365. And then I've just got a few short films and a hack that some of our customers have run in transforming the way they work by using accessible technology. So I'm just going to dive into questions now and see if we've had any questions asked. So we just had a question on, let me stop sharing the screen. Are these options saved to the user profile if it is a shared machine? So what you need to do, Martin, is in the settings, it will say when do you want this to kick in, and if you put after sign in, that should save it for your device once you sign into Windows 10 on a shared machine. So because it's your login that goes for a Windows 10 device, it should be saved to your user profile. But any issues, do email us or send a question into edad@microsoft.com.